All right, please be seated.
The trial of former police officer Kim Potter, accused in the shooting death of Daunte Wright earlier this year, continued Friday with one of the officers at the scene testifying he was holding Wright's arm, trying to handcuff him before he was shot. Major Mychal Johnson said he entered the car from the passenger side as Wright started pulling away from another officer. He said he put his hands on the gear shift and keys to prevent Wright from trying to drive away. When the 20-year-old got back into the car, Officer Johnson grabbed his arm, but testified a short time afterwards he heard Potter's voice.
What did you hear Officer Potter say?
I heard something to the effect of, "I'll tase you."
And what happened after that?
I heard the verbal command of, "Taser, taser, taser."
And then what happened?
And then I heard a loud pop.
Johnson said he let go of Wright's arm out of concern over getting in the way of the taser probes. Body camera video from Johnson showed the car then drove off as Potter screamed she shot Wright.
Put your hands up!
Thursday's testimony focused on what happened in the moments after the shooting, when Wright drove off and ended up crashing his car into another vehicle. The jury heard from Wright's girlfriend, Alayna Albrecht-Payton, who was a passenger in the car.
I was the only one who had everybody there. I was trying to help him. And I was trying to push on his chest and call his name. And he wasn't answering me. He was just gasping. Like just take breaths of air. So
the defense pressed her over Wright driving away, but she said his hands were never on the wheel and the car only moved because his foot was on the gas. Katie Bryant, Wright's mother, was one of the first to testify when prosecutors began to call witnesses Wednesday. She said she spoke to Wright after he had been pulled over and heard an officer tell him to step out of the car before the phone disconnected. When she finally reconnected via video call, it was to the sound of Payton screaming and images of her son after being shot.
that I wanted to go comfort my baby. I wanted to hold him. And I wanted to protect him because that's what mothers do. You protect your children. You make sure that they're safe.
During cross-examination, Bryant said she knew her son did not have a driver's license, but did not know he had a prior arrest warrant or had used marijuana. In opening statements Wednesday, Minnesota Assistant Attorney General Erin Eldridge said Potter had violated her training by not recognizing she pulled her firearm from her right side when her taser was at her left.
We trust them to know wrong from right and left from right. This case is about an officer who knew not to get it dead wrong, but she failed to get it right.
Her lawyers argued it was a mistake.
She's a human being, but she had to do what she had to do to prevent a death to a fellow officer, too.
They told the jury Potter was inconsolable, with body cam video showing Potter on the ground. Her defense argued Wright had tried to flee and Potter had attempted to use her taser to protect then Sergeant Mychal Johnson, who was inside Wright's car.
And all Mr. Wright had to do was stop. He was told he was arrested on a warrant. He resisted. She said, "I'll tase you." And all he had to do was surrender.
The defense questioned Johnson Friday on what could have happened if the car had taken off with him inside, with the officer saying he could have been dragged and potentially injured.
Based on these videos and the conduct of Daunte Wright, as far as you're concerned, and you were there, Kimberly Potter would have had a right to use a firearm, right?
Yes.
On Thursday, Officer Salvosa, who responded to the crash, testified he was not aware of Wright's condition when he arrived.
Did you have any information about the medical condition of anyone in that Buick?
No, sir, not as I arrived initially. The windows were rolled up. It was tinted. I couldn't see inside.
A motion for a mistrial was also denied Thursday when the defense argued prosecutors were spending too much time presenting prejudicial evidence such as photos of Wright's body. While denying the mistrial, the judge advised the state must avoid showing the jury duplicate autopsy photos. The case itself is focused on 2 charges, first and second-degree manslaughter. Prosecutors need to prove Potter acted recklessly for the first charge and prove culpable negligence for the second. The state does not need to prove she intended to kill. If found guilty, she could face just over 7 years for the first charge and 4 on the second. All eyes will be on the trial once again next week as Potter herself is expected to take the stand. Sean Previl, Global News.